We all like to think we make pretty rational decisions with our money, right? But what if I told you there's a hidden glitch in your brain that could be costing you real money every single month on your credit card bills? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the credit card trap and expose the simple, kind of illogical shortcut our minds take that makes us pay way more in interest than we have to.
So just picture this for a second. You've got a couple of credit card bills sitting there, and you have a certain amount of money you can put towards them. How do you actually decide which card gets more of your cash? It seems like such a simple question, but your answer, well, it reveals a fascinating and often really expensive quirk in how our brains are wired.
Okay, so logically, the best financial move is crystal clear. After you make your minimum payments, you should throw every single extra penny at the card with the highest interest rate, the highest APR. That's your most expensive debt. But here's the kicker. A major study found that's not what we do, not even close, actually.
And we're not talking about a small rounding error here. This is an expensive mistake, and it's being made by millions of people. So let's really unpack the data and see just how big the gap is between what we should be doing and what we're actually doing.
So, to pay the absolute minimum in interest, researchers calculated the perfect strategy. It's to put 97.1% of your extra payments, that's every dollar above the minimums, onto the one card with the highest APR. It's basically a laser-focused attack on your most expensive debt.
But what happens in reality? Well, we only send about 51.5% of our extra cash to that high-interest card. That is barely better than a coin flip. So instead of a laser beam, it's more like a sprinkler, just spreading our money around while completely ignoring the interest rates that are costing us the most.
This chart, wow, it really puts that disconnect into perspective. That tall bar, that's the optimal strategy, that laser focus. The shorter one, that's us, our actual kind of scattered behavior. And that huge gap between them, that's just cash, pure cash, evaporating into interest payments we didn't have to make.
And get this isn't just one country's problem. The researchers found this exact same pattern in totally different financial systems. Doesn't matter if you're in Mexico or the UK, people are misallocating nearly half of their extra payments. It's a universal human thing.
So what's the real-world cost of this little mental mistake? Well, for the average person in the study with just 2 cards, it adds up to about £65 a year in pure waste. And remember, that's just the average. If you've got more cards or higher balances, that number could be way, way higher. Okay, so if we aren't paying attention to interest rates, what are we looking at? What's driving our choices? The answer is pretty wild. It's a hidden mental shortcut, a powerful bias that researchers have dubbed the balance matching brain. Now, the obvious answers, they just don't hold up. The research shows that even when the financial stakes are really high, big differences in interest rates, large payments, we still make the same exact mistake. And it's not a rookie error either. People don't seem to get any better at this over time. All right, here's the big reveal. We're using a mental shortcut called the Balance Matching Heuristic. Basically, our brains ignore the complicated APR number and latch onto something simpler, the balance. So if card A has, say, 70% of your total debt, your brain just instinctively wants to send 70% of your payment there, completely ignoring the interest rate. And here it is. This is the smoking gun right from the data. This graph plots what balance matching predicts we'll pay against what we actually pay. And that tight straight line, it proves it. Our payments almost perfectly track our balances, not our interest rates. It's crazy. And you know what's funny? This isn't even just a human thing. It perfectly mirrors a classic psychology finding called the matching law. In these old experiments, pigeons had 2 keys they could peck for food, and they would peck them in proportion to how often they paid out, not which one gave the bigger reward. We're basically doing the same thing, matching the proportion of the balance, not the size of the financial reward. But here's the good news. Once you know about this mental shortcut, you can consciously fight back. You can override it. There is a simple, optimal strategy you can use to break free from this balance matching trap and save yourself a whole lot of money. And the fix is incredibly simple. It's just 3 steps. First, you have to know the APR for every single one of your cards. Second, make the minimum payment on all of them so you don't get hit with fees. And third, and this is the absolute key,
Every other cent you have for debt repayment goes to one place and one place only, the card with the single highest interest rate. You just attack it until it's gone.
This last quote from the researchers just puts it so bluntly. When it comes to how we decide to repay, balances are the most important thing to us, and APRs are the least important. So to save money, all you have to do is consciously flip that around. Ignore the balance and focus on the APR.
You know, understanding this one little credit card bias really opens up a much bigger question. Our brains are hardwired for these shortcuts, these heuristics, to try and simplify a really complex world. So it's probably worth asking yourself, what other financial shortcuts are you taking that might be costing you money without even realizing it?